Hi, Todd from Kurloo here. In this video, I'll provide an overview of the Sensors Details page, what the data means, and how to interact with it. First things to talk about is the difference between devices and sensors. Devices are the physical Kurloo units that will exist on your site. A device is always digitally attached or assigned to a sensor. A sensor is a digital geospatial point. Kurloo devices feed data to sensors, and sensors feed data to alerts and analysis within the Kurloo Nest. But why have sensors at all? Well, a sensor is a virtual position, and because it is virtual, it allows you to replace or move the Kurloo device, remove data, and apply offsets, all while maintaining the same virtual position. On the top right, we have some quick information about the sensor, including sensor status, battery percentage, and when the last reading occurred. Hover over that to see the exact time and date. Taking up much of the workspace is the sensor graph, which displays the amount of deviation over time. By default, the time period shown will be from the installation date to the current date. The small circles on the lines indicate an individual measurement, and if you hover over one of these, you can see the time and date of the measurement, which deviation it is, and the amount of displacement from reference date. Above the sensor graph is the control bar. Changing these settings will change what you view in both the graph and table below. Starting from the left, you can choose which alignment you would like to view your horizontal data in, either north, default, or custom. We'll talk more about customer alignments later in this video. The next box is where you can change the date range that is displayed. You have options for the previous 7, 30, and 90 days, and a custom date range option. You can use the arrows or click the month to navigate to different dates. In all cases, the reference data of the date displayed will be the installation date. You can change the reference date, and we'll talk about that shortly. The next option is to change which deviations are visible in the graph. To open this multi-select box, just click on the current selections. By default, all deviations are turned on, and here's what the abbreviations mean. DE equals the deviation in east or west direction. DX will be displayed if you have custom alignment turned on. DN is the deviation in the north-south direction. DY will be displayed if you have a custom alignment turned on. DH is the deviation in height. D2D is the deviation in a horizontal distance vector. D3D is the deviation in 3D and is a 3D vector. You can have any combination of deviation shown on the graph at any time. Beside that, we see the data set type. These settings will change how the data is displayed in the graph. Moving average, which is the default setting. This option is a calculated data source that takes an average of the edited raw data of the current reading and some of the previous readings. This option typically provides a graph that is smoother and assists in the examination of long-term trend analysis while removing any small blunders. Next we have edited raw data. This option takes the raw data and applies any offsets and removals that have been put in place. This view will not be as smooth as a moving average, however, it is ideal for analysis of small data sections or time periods. And lastly, we have raw data. This option shows the data in its original state. No removals or offsets that have been put in place will be applied. This view is useful to see the data prior to any adjustments. Clicking on the More Options button will reveal additional items starting with the reference date. Click on the current date to open the calendar, then you can use the arrows to click the month to navigate to the different dates. You can then click the new date you would like to reference. You can only select the date where a measurement has been recorded. The graph and table data will change to now have your new reference date as 0. Next is where you can choose to overlay additional data on the graph. You can choose from bomb rainfall data. This data comes directly from the Australian Bureau of Meteorology, and the location of that data collection is displayed in the Location and Device tab. You have battery, temperature, humidity, and pressure. All of these options will display the daily min and max that are recorded by the attached Kurloo device. You can hover over any of these readings to see a precise level, and the y-axis on the right of the graph will change depending on the reading selected. You have the x-axis unit selection, where you can choose to see the x-axis as dates or number of days enabled. The next option changes the y-axis scaling and has options for automatic 50 and 100%. To the right of that option, you have two display options, which will overlay additional information on the graph. You have standard deviation, and you have the activity log. This will display an icon at the base of the graph that relates to an activity log entry. If you hover over one, you can see the details of that entry. There is a reset button that will move all items back to the default setting. Above that is the export button, which allows you to export the data currently displayed as an image or a CSV file. You have the option to drag a window over the graph to zoom into that area, or you can hold Control on your keyboard and use your mouse scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Below the graph is a table which shows the individual deviations for each measurement date. The deviations shown are relative to the reference date selected above. The table is sorted by date as default, but can be changed by clicking any of the deviations. You can change how many rows per page and navigate to different pages with the buttons below. You can also choose which columns you would like to see. The map to the right operates the same way as the map in the Sensors menu page. You can click on the other sensors in your project and then click their name to take you to the Sensors detail page for that sensor.